Have you ever stopped to look closely at the quarters in your pocket? What if I told you that some of those ordinary coins could be worth thousands of dollars? Today, we're uncovering the hidden world of valuable state quarters, coins that carry incredible history, rare designs, and surprising stories behind every mint mark. By the end of this video, you might just discover a treasure hiding in your own change. Let's rewind to the early 2000s. A time when DVDs ruled our living rooms, flip phones were the height of technology, and the US Mint launched one of the most popular coin programs in American history, the 50 State Quarters program. This wasn't just about pocket change. It was about honoring the rich heritage, history, and pride of every single state in the Union. And in 2004, it was Michigan's turn to take center stage. Now imagine this. You're standing in line at the grocery store, casually thumbing through some quarters to feed the parking meter. And there it is, something different. One coin stands out. It gleams just a little brighter, and its design makes you stop and stare. This is the Michigan State Quarter. And what may seem like a simple piece of change, well, it hides a story far more interesting than you'd ever guess. Flip it over and you'll see an elegant, carefully etched outline of the state of Michigan. But that's not all. Surrounding it are the five massive, iconic Great Lakes: Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. Together, they wrap around the state like a liquid crown, and with good reason. Michigan is the only U.S. state that touches 4 of the 5 Great Lakes. That's a geographical badge of honor. And right below that image, the words are carved proudly: Great Lakes State. It's a simple design, yet it's bold. And it didn't happen by accident. Michigan invited citizens to take part in the creative process. Ideas poured in from all corners of the state: historical tributes, famous figures, and natural landmarks. But in the end, one theme rose above the rest: water. Because to truly understand Michigan, you must understand its lakes. The final design struck a perfect balance between simplicity and symbolism. It wasn't flashy, but it was powerful. Of course, George Washington still graces the front, just as he has for decades. The familiar inscriptions, United States of America, Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and $2, remain untouched. But it's the reverse that tells a story unique to Michigan. These quarters began to roll out from the U.S. Mint in early 2004, and boy, did they roll out fast. Over 459 million were minted across Philadelphia and Denver. That's nearly 500 million coins. They flooded into circulation. Coffee shops, parking meters, vending machines. For most people, they came and went without a second thought, but here's where it gets interesting. You see, not all quarters are created equal. Most are just coins. But a tiny, tiny fraction. There's something else entirely. Stick with me, because this is where the story really starts to twist. Some Michigan quarters came out flawed, minting errors that most people never even noticed. Coins struck off-center. Coins with die breaks or doubling. A few were even struck with what's called a die cap error, where the coin is pressed in such a way that the image becomes distorted and almost ghost-like. Now, to the average person, these look like mistakes. But to a collector, these are gold. Well, silver in this case, but you get the idea. Then there are the proof coins. These weren't meant for pocket change. They were made for collectors. Struck multiple times with polished dies on specially prepared planchets, proof coins are all about perfection. The detail is razor sharp. The background? A flawless mirror finish. And here's the kicker: some of these proof coins were minted in 90% silver. Not the typical nickel-clad copper. Real silver. Shiny, precious, and limited in number. Most of these silver proofs were sold in special sets and carefully stored. But some made it out into the wild. A few even ended up in circulation by accident. And that's where the treasure hunt begins. Now let's dive even deeper. When collectors talk coins, one word always comes up: grade. A coin's grade is a professional assessment of its condition. Scratches, dings, imperfections. They all matter. The scale goes from 1 to 70. And a grade of 70 means absolute perfection. Not a blemish. Not even under a magnifying glass. For a quarter to earn that kind of grade, it's rare. But it happens, and when it does, that's when values start climbing. A perfectly preserved Michigan silver-proof quarter, struck flawlessly and graded at a perfect 70. It doesn't just sit in a collector's case. It becomes the star of the show. Still with me? Good. Because we're about to reach the final piece of this story. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, alright, I get it. There are rare coins, and some people are into collecting. But this is still a quarter we're talking about. 25 cents. How much could it really be worth? Well, here's the twist that in recent years, one of these ultra-rare Michigan state quarters, minted in 2004, struck in 90% silver, graded a perfect 70, and preserved in flawless condition, sold for an absolutely staggering price, not $100. Not $1,000. This single quarter sold for an unbelievable $42,000. Our second rare quarter today takes us far from skyscrapers and city lights and drops us right into the open heart of the American West. It's 2006. A year when flip phones still clicked shut, gas prices were climbing, and tucked inside the jingling pockets of everyday Americans was something quietly remarkable, a coin that told the story of a state unlike any other. Nevada's state quarter doesn't ease you in gently, it hits you with wild motion, energy, and beauty the second you turn it over. There, carved into metal, 3 wild Mustangs charge across a dusty plain. They're not just part of the design. They are the design. Bold. Proud. Unbreakable. These aren't show horses. These are survivors of the wild, symbols of the unbridled spirit of the West, galloping across a landscape that still feels like a frontier. Behind them, a horizon of snow-capped mountains, standing like silent guardians of the land. They stretch up past the clouds, touching the edge of the coin's rim like the sky itself. Below, rugged sagebrush clings to the desert earth, the official state flower of Nevada, tough, understated, and absolutely native to this wild terrain, and above it all, arching over the scene like a crown of silver, the words, the Silver State. A title Nevada wears with pride, but here's something most people don't realize: this design, while simple in form, is layered with deep meaning. The Mustangs represent the raw, natural spirit of the region. They're not penned in. They're not broken. They run free, just like Nevada itself. The mountains? They hint at the harsh terrain the early settlers faced, and the beauty that still draws people in. And the sagebrush, strong, enduring, growing even in the harshest places, well, that speaks for itself. Now let's talk numbers. The U.S. Mint produced over 459 million of these quarters. That's hundreds of millions of coins bearing this powerful image, circulated from coast to coast, passed from hand to hand, spent and saved and forgotten in drawers. Most of those coins, they're worth exactly what you'd expect, 25 cents, but here's where the story takes a sharp turn. Among those millions, a small fraction was created differently. Not for spending. Not for circulation. But for collectors. These were the proof coins. Minted in San Francisco, they were struck with special care. Polished blanks. Handled with gloves. Pressed multiple times to bring out every tiny detail. The Mustangs on these proof coins don't just run, they seem to leap from the surface. The mirror-like fields contrast with the frosted images, giving the design a kind of depth you don't expect from something so small. But it gets better. Some of those proof coins were made not from standard copper-nickel, but from real silver, 90% silver to be exact. Shiny, weighty, valuable even in melt terms alone. These silver-proof versions were only sold in special sets, often tucked away safely by careful collectors. Many stayed sealed, untouched by time, and yet, not all silver proofs are created equal, because even among those, there's a level that's almost mythical. A perfect grade that in the world of coin grading, a scale from 1 to 70 is used. A 70 means perfection. Not a hairline scratch. Not a single imperfection under magnification. It means the coin looks exactly as it did the moment it left the press, flawless that it's incredibly rare. Especially for a coin minted nearly 2 decades ago. Find a 2006 Nevada silver proof quarter in perfect grade, untouched by time or human hands, preserved in pristine condition for years. That's not just rare. That's a collector's dream. So let's piece this together. A Nevada state quarter. Minted in 2006. Struck in 90% silver. Created as a proof coin with exceptional detail. And graded a perfect 70, flawless by every standard. What does that mean for its value? This is where things get real, not $100. Not even $1,000. The value of this exact type of coin, right metal, right mint, right grade, is an astonishing $37,000. That's right. $37,000 for 1 quarter, and what's wild is that unless you knew what to look for, you might not even notice it. To the untrained eye, it's just another pretty coin. But to a collector, it's gold hidden in plain sight. It's history frozen in silver. It's rarity that can change everything, and here's something even more exciting, there may still be more of them out there. Coins stored away unknowingly. Quarters tucked into collections, or slipped into circulation by mistake. One of them could be in someone's old coin folder. One could be in a bag of loose change, overlooked for years. It's a modern-day treasure hunt, and the stakes are high. So the next time you come across a Nevada quarter, stop for a second. Don't just flip past it. Really look at it. Feel the texture, see the detail, imagine the story behind it, because it might just be one of the few. One of the rarest. And if it's the right coin in the right condition, it could be worth more than most people make in a year. Our third rare state quarter takes us deep into the sweeping, windswept plains of Nebraska, a place where the horizon seems to stretch forever, and the sky feels like an ocean above you. It's a landscape that's simple at first glance but hides a story of incredible courage, hard work, and hope. This isn't a coin about flashy landmarks or fierce animals. No, this one honors something much quieter, something far more personal, the everyday heroes who carved out lives from the raw earth itself. This is the 2015 Homestead Quarter. Now, if you hold it in your hand, it might seem modest, almost unassuming. A wooden house, simple and sturdy, stands at the center. A weathered water pump with hands gripping the handle, and a bucket placed carefully below to catch every precious drop. At first glance, it might seem plain. But that simplicity is what makes it so powerful. Each line, each detail, tells a story of survival and determination. To truly understand this coin, we have to travel back in time, more than 150 years ago. The year was 1862. Abraham Lincoln, then president, signed into law a piece of legislation that would shape the future of America, the Homestead Act. This law promised something revolutionary: free land. 160 acres to anyone willing to move west, build a home, farm the land, and live on it for 5 years. Imagine that for a moment. A chance to start fresh. To own a piece of the vast, unclaimed American West, for millions of hopeful settlers, it was a dream come true. But reality was harsh. The land was wild, unforgiving. Winters were cold and brutal, summers hot and dry. Settlers faced storms, droughts, loneliness. Yet, despite every challenge, they built homes. Dug wells. Planted crops. Raised families. They endured. That story, the story of those resilient homesteaders, is exactly what this coin captures. The wooden house you see is more than a building, it's a symbol of shelter and security. It stands for every cabin erected from rough timber, every nail hammered by hand. The water pump is a lifeline, a daily necessity in an arid land where water could mean the difference between life and death. And those hands on the pump? They represent the hard work and cooperation of families, women, men, and children, all pitching in to survive and thrive. Now, more than 400 million of these homestead quarters were minted and released into circulation. They traveled everywhere, from small-town grocery stores to bustling cities. Most were used, spent, and eventually forgotten. For most people, these quarters are worth just their face value, 25 cents, but here's the secret that makes this coin so special: among the millions, there are a rare few that stand out, proof coins, struck with incredible precision and care. These coins were made not for spending but for collectors. They feature mirror-like surfaces and sharp, crisp details that bring every part of the design to life, and then, there are minting errors. On some homestead quarters, collectors have spotted a fascinating anomaly known as the snow on the roof error. It looks like tiny flakes of snow have gathered on the roof of the cabin, actually a small raised bump caused by a flaw in the minting die. This unexpected snow makes the coin unique, instantly recognizable to collectors, but it doesn't stop there. Other rare coins might have doubled images where parts of the design appear twice or faint outlines that shouldn't be there. Some coins were struck off-center, causing parts of the design to be cut off or shifted. These errors, far from being flaws, turn these coins into sought-after treasures. Now, imagine combining all these special features: a 2015 homestead quarter, struck in silver, preserved in flawless condition, graded at a perfect 70, the highest rating possible. No scratches, no wear, no signs of handling. And topped off with one of these rare minting errors. That's not just a coin. That's a gem, and collectors have noticed, because the value of such a coin has skyrocketed beyond what most would expect. This coin isn't worth a few $100s. It's not even in the thousands range like many rare quarters. It is valued at a staggering $25,000. For a quarter that represents the spirit of perseverance, the courage of settlers, and the heart of a nation. So the next time you come across a homestead quarter, don't just pass it by. Look closely. See the details. Appreciate the history pressed into the metal. Because somewhere out there, hidden in plain sight among millions of ordinary coins, might be one of these rare treasures, and if you find it, you could be holding something truly priceless. And that wraps up today's deep dive into some of the rarest and most valuable state quarters you never knew could be worth so much. From Michigan to Nevada, and now Nebraska's homestead quarter, these coins carry stories that go far beyond their face value. If you enjoyed this video and want to discover more hidden treasures in your pocket change, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Give this video a like if you found it interesting, and share it with your friends who love coins or history as much as you do. Got questions or maybe a rare coin story of your own? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know what treasure might be waiting in your change.